It's weird. I've never heard any brother giving a talk saying anything remotely like that.
Which is, I gotta say, not what I was expecting going into this. Usually you can expect the same old reheated leftovers.
Next, we have another instructor from the Gilead school, Brother Trent Lippold. And
Lippold. I think...
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of Lippolds around here, I gotta say. A lot of old lips.
His theme is a question, will I be more?
The Apostle Paul was not a man given to boasting.
I don't think I've seen like an Asian speaker on any of these talks.
You're right. I don't remember seeing one either.
Wow. They're the bench is they're going deep into the roster, I gotta say, for this Gilead grad. We gotta put some respect on Trent Lippold's name here for paving the way on JW Broadcast.
On one occasion, he felt compelled to boast a little. And that account is found for us in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Please read with me 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 23. Are they ministers of Christ? I reply like a madman. I am more outstandingly one. What was the subject of Paul's boast? Being a minister of Christ. And now being a minister of Christ, as a minister of Christ, as a minister of Christ, as a minister of Christ, help you to succeed in your assignment.
This is like the first guy to bring up Jesus the entire time.
Let's consider an example.
Yeah, true.
And it's found in the book of Luke, chapter 8. Shortly afterward, he, this is Christ, traveled from city to city and from village to village, preaching and declaring the good news of the kingdom of God. And the 12 were with him, as were certain women who had been cured of wicked spirits and sickness.
We have to hold up, because I mean the badge logo really is rather strange. We can't see it on our end because, at least I can't.
From whom 7 demons had come out. Joanna, the wife of Cusa, Herod's man in charge. Susanna.
I made it full screen,
and many
I still
other women who were ministering to them.
It's like a cartoon ham.
A group. Christ, the 12, and women. Women who ministered to the others. What did that mean? Did it mean they cooked the meals, washed the dishes, mended the clothes?
Possibly.
But not necessarily entirely that.
I like how he's like almost going to be progressive. And he's like, well, I mean, honestly, they may have washed the clothes and done the dishes and cooked dinner. That's to be fair. But I think this is going to be a talk about
these women ministered to the others by helping them to complete their assignment as they went on completing their assignment as disciples of Christ. Notice the backgrounds of these women. Luke mentions 3. He says, they're women who were cured of wicked spirits and sicknesses. Look at Mary. Mary, he says, from whom 7 demons had come out. He also mentions Joanna, the wife of Cusa, Herod's man in charge, and Susanna. Think of their backgrounds. Mary, 7 demons came out of her. I wonder how that demon possession contributed to her personality.
I wonder that too.
What about Joanna?
He said that really casually. I mean, it's a good question. I wonder how that demon possession contributed to her personality. Yeah, probably a lot. The stories of demon possession are so strange because they just never talk about it anymore. But such a big part of being a disciple and an apostle was like expelling demons. And now it's just not so much. They never really explain why that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago when I was a kid hearing of elders doing exorcisms in people's houses.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. See, like, all I would ever hear is like you say the name Jehovah out loud, and then that drives the spirit out, which seems like a crazy rule to me. Like, how does that work if you're the demon? Like, you got me. You said the secret password. I have to leave now. Or does it like burn their ears like a vampire at seeing the light? I don't know.
The wife of Cusa, Herod's man in charge. In other words, Joanna lived in Herod's palace. She was a woman of the court. And also Susanna. It doesn't say specifically much about her other than perhaps she was one of the women who was cured.
This guy's good. I think he's very
What was her
easy to listen to.
personality
He doesn't
like?
sound too
How did
creepy.
these personalities
He doesn't have the
work
creepy
together?
JW vibe.
Right.
Here's part of the example of
Go
what
far.
can help us to minister. And that is to realize when we look through the gospel accounts, we never find these women bickering or arguing amongst themselves about position or prominence or place, unlike some others in the group that were with them.
Why?
Because these women focused on their ministry. They focused on their work. They served others and they served each other.
Are they going to talk about the fact that like there were prophetesses and like female judges and stuff? Like they always like to skip over that part.
Yeah.
And that is a powerful
Try and play
example.
down the blatant sexism.
Yeah, it's really weird. They're like, no. We're super progressive within the really misogynistic confines of the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything we can get away with women doing, we'll let them do it. But, we just can't. They just can't carry microphones. God wouldn't like that very much. Although, yeah, exactly. He's focusing on the servant part of it. They were happy to serve and serve each other. Yeah, it's not great.
For you and for me. Remember, in Isaiah chapter 11, verse 6, it's prophesied, the wolf will reside with the lamb, lions with calves. It's not going to be all lambs. You will meet diverse personalities in your assignments, and you will have to work with diverse personalities, just like the women did. So what will you do? Remember that
They're really thank you, Lil, for saving me, because I was trying to think of this and then I had a complete brain fart. So we're seeing a lot like on the XJW Reddit, where there's a lot of like PMO folks who will post updates like that the Kingdom Halls are really empty. They're doing hybrid meetings and there's still a Zoom option. And from what people are saying, and obviously it's a biased sample size, I guess, the XJW Reddit, but like it seems like the Kingdom Halls are pretty thin, and there's like lots of independent accounts of like sisters doing sound and carrying mics because they just don't have enough people there. I could definitely see
I've heard
them.
that.
You've heard that too.
Yeah.
I could see them trying to spin this as like new light. Look how progressive the chariot is. Now we let women.
But really,
do
it's
stuff.
out of necessity.
But yeah, and then just it's because I just don't have enough.
That's the thing that the organization does. They always have two reasons for doing things.
Yeah.
They'll have
that's-
the real reason, and then there's the public-facing reason that they tell everyone.
Yeah. The
Isn't real
self-serving reason, and then how do we spin this? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, good spicy comment. You will meet wolves in sheep's clothing. You will especially meet wolves in shepherd's clothing. Yeah, the shepherds a lot of times. What's so weird to me about this is like the sheer emphasis on you're gonna meet people that are annoying and that you don't like. It's like really focusing on like you're gonna just meet so many crappy people that you don't get along with, and just like really emphasizing that. Like, how miserable is it out there? Shouldn't people be able to get along a little bit better? I don't know. Will says I'd wear my 8-inch platforms down the aisle to give mics. That would be. This is okay. Good point, Nate. Yeah, this is what he's saying, and like it's really bizarre that he's like it's prophesied that the lions will be with the lambs. It's not going to be all lambs, and like well they used to prophesy. They used to say that was a prophecy, literally about paradise, and like literally lions and lambs would like get along because they eat straw. And now he's like, that's a prophecy, but it applies to now because there are lamb-like witnesses and wolf-like witnesses.
Or maybe he's going rogue. He's going off script or something.
Yeah, he might. But you know what struck me about that is the recent depictions of paradise that don't have the wild animals.
Wild animals. Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if they're kind of laying the groundwork for. It doesn't really make any sense. God's probably not going to change the physiology of lions and stuff, like, which I would have stayed in another 10 years if they changed the light on that, because that was such a big part of cognitive dissonance for me. I was like, I cannot accept the literalness of lions will just eat straw. It's not possible.
Yeah, it's not.
Anyway, we're so close. I'm sorry, I'm dragging
The
this
very
out.
qualities that make a lion or make a wolf might be exactly the qualities you need to help you fulfill your assignment. So they're not all
What?
lambs.
So it's good to be a wolf? You need wolf-like qualities?
This has got to be one of the weirdest talks I've ever heard.
This is really bizarre.
William Tyndale, when he translated this verse, he kept the very terseness and the clarity.
William Tinsdale, when he translated this, kept the terseness of Paul's words, and what he meant is that the lions, some of us are lions in the congregation. This guy, I changed my mind. This guy's dumb and weird. He's saying weird stuff. He's not dumb. I'm sorry. I don't know. This is pretty strange. This is like so different.
It is.
It's like
Yeah.
hitting my ears so wrong. This is like really
the
new light that
illustrations
they're
he's
kind of-
using are not. The illustrations he's using are not like textbook JW.
Right. He's not saying stuff you've heard a million times, which I guess is probably exciting for people. You feel like, wow, I'm really getting some new stuff out of this. But on the other hand, it like goes exactly contrary to how they typically categorize this stuff. Like you would definitely like Satan is described as the roaring lion or the roaring Ryan. I'm sorry, Ryan. But this was interesting because Jenny said are like they're admitting to be wolves in the congregation, and yes, he is saying that. Earlier, it might have been Jenny who said, like, are they acknowledging that there's PMOs? But he's almost, maybe he's going to explain this more, but he's like, the very qualities that we need might be wolf-like, which is pretty bizarre. He's almost saying, like, it's not the wolf in sheep's clothing, because, hey, sometimes wolves are good. You might need to be a wolf sometimes. So I don't know. I'm
It's
like,
weird. I've never heard any brother giving a talk saying anything remotely like that.
which is, I gotta say, not what I was expecting going into this. Usually you can expect the same old reheated leftovers, but this is actually
cautious as serpents, innocent as doves type thing. But what he's saying now is like completely different.
But they all are our brothers and sisters.
I'm going to rewind
So
this a
if-
tad so I can get the full
Might be exactly they served others and they served each other. And that is a powerful example.
It really
for
is
you
like weird
for me.
alpha wolf stuff.
Remember,
This guy's a pickup
in Isaiah
artist.
chapter 11, verse 6, it's prophesied, the wolf will reside with the lamb, lions with calves.
It's not going to be all lambs.
You will meet diverse personalities in your assignments, and you will have to work with diverse personalities, just like the women did. So what will you do? Remember that some of the very qualities that make a lion or make a wolf might be exactly the qualities you need to help you fulfill your assignment.
This is wild. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, it is what we thought. He is like literally saying that what this means now, class, is there are lions, sheep, and wolves in the congregation. Damn, that's pretty, that's new.
It is.
Interesting.
Orient by the Sea made an interesting comment
Ooh, let's
a
see.
little while ago.
Was it this?
Yeah,
here?
that one. Yeah.
Are they mentally gearing people up for the time when they're preaching a message of judgment? Yeah, that's
Interesting.
I'm going to set that comment aside too, because that's really interesting. I also want to look at this comment from the Falling Tower. They definitely know people are leaving for not believing. Guy I know was just sitting in an elders meeting where the CEO asked if any had left due to apostasy, said that many have been stepping down, trying to stop the bleeding. Wow. Interesting.
So they're not all lambs, but they all are our brothers and sisters. So if Jehovah allows a diversity of personalities within the context of the new personality, then so should we. Diverse
That does not make
personalities make for rich friendships.
Within the new personality, there's diverse
Luke
personalities.
wrote these words in about
One
or he's talking
personality,
about
but
events
a lot of
that took
personalities
place
within
around
the
the
one
Passover of 31 CE. When you think of these women were
Yeah, this is
with
hard for me to
Jesus.
understand. This is why I'm just like, whoa, no,
Golgotha.
this sounds
Yeah.
totally
These women
different to me.
were at the tomb.
It's weird.
Likely these women may have been in the upper room as well. That tells us that these women endured
Just making shit up.
challenging
Likely.
circumstances. They stuck with the Lord. What helped them?
Yeah, this is pretty wild to me. Like being a wolf or a lion witness. I don't know. It's pretty weird. But you know what's really interesting to me about this guy is like he really went out of his way to reference like Tinsdale, like the translator. And he's also like really going like the Christ, the Lord. Like he's really using more traditional Christian-y language.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
stands out to me as someone who's like, listens to more, like debates with atheist Christian debates on like modern day debate. I don't like the way they talk about like the Lord and the Christ is like, it really is not stuff that I would hear a lot. You don't hear witnesses talking about the Lord.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, he's very different.
This guy's a real maverick coming out here. He's just like, wolves are good. Jesus is God. We're going to believe in the Trinity by the end of this talk. It's going to be amazing.
Look back at the verse. Verse 2.
No, they've all
As
been
were
wearing
certain
this
women who
badge.
had been cured of wicked spirits and sicknesses. These women deeply appreciated what Jesus had done for them. Certainly, they glorified God because of what Jesus had done for them, but they also allowed their appreciation to help them endure.
Oh boy. there have been so many good comments. This one is like top 5 at least, overlapping personality.
That's a great one.
Yes, there's a new personality, but there's personalities within the new personality. Oh, so weird. So why is the analogy always looking for lost sheep and never for like the lost wolves? I don't know. This is so tough for me. I have to really pray about this adjusted understanding, Riley. This is I got to pray to the Lord about this.
I think this is the first time when I've heard them say that diverse personalities are a good thing. I've never heard that in a talk before, ever. Or the only thing I've ever heard about personalities is putting on the new Christ-like personality.
And they definitely, would emphasize the point that not everybody gets along, but also it's a little surprising to hear them say like, no, diverse personalities are good. Yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to move towards being a little, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. This is weird.
Yeah.
Endure in a self-sacrificing life of ministering to others. So stay appreciative, and that will help you endure.
Diverse facial hair.
Our
not so
friends
much.
are dying. Our friends are getting sick. Meditate on how
Friends are
Jehovah
being
has blessed
radicalized
you.
to apostasy because of YouTube.
Meditate on the little things each day, the little
Michael's
gifts
comment is
Jehovah
good.
gives you. Maybe it's simply the peace in your heart and mind this day. Remain appreciative for that, and that will help you endure as a minister in your assignment.
Oh boy.
Michael made a good comment earlier. Michael Kira Kosian. I'm sorry.
Or the
if I
last
put-
personality of the last person. That's pretty good. Yeah, see, this is the thing. It's like, diverse personalities. I mean, shave your beard, though. We can't have you looking like a beatnik out there.
To a certain degree, had left Christ or fled, the women stayed. They stood solidly on their own faith. Brothers and sisters, do not be thrown off easily by others. Sometimes, and you can imagine for these women with the disciples, it felt like a family. And sometimes today in families,
Olive
one
Garden.
choose
When
to
you're there,
leave Jehovah.
we're family.
Even at this late hour, stand solidly on your own faith. Like the women, Do not be easily thrown off. Stay with.
I wonder if they're doing this because they put so much stock in the notion that people are like stumbled out of the truth. Like they like saying that like it's personality conflict. It's because somebody gets offended that they leave. And I'm sure that does happen where people realize like, you know what, this organization is not as loving as I thought it was. And that sets them down the path. I would not say that that's the reason why people like become apostates. Because of personality conflicts.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I listened to an audiobook recently. It wasn't about JWs per se, but there was a chapter in there that told an experience of someone who was raised as a JW, got married in the world, went back, but his wife was trying to wake him up. She knew it was a cult the whole time. She was trying to wake him up. And nothing she did worked until one time where an elder that he had a lot of respect for disrespected his wife. And that's what made him realize that it wasn't the truth.
Wow.
All the debunking of doctrines in the world never made a difference. What made a difference was that
it's the emotional attachment.
The emotional, yeah.
Well, that makes sense, and that makes sense that would be the thing that they focus on the most. That's what all the broadcasts are now, is just really, really emotional. So that makes sense to me. It's Jenny's weirded out by the sexism in this talk. And I think if you were a witness watching this stream, you'd be like, this is literally not sexist. He's talking about how great women are in the Bible, but it's like he will pay old lip service to women, but also, put on a head covering when you're, in front of like a 14-year-old baptized kid, and you're not allowed to carry mics, and you're definitely not allowed to give public talks. Like this is very weird. It's really strange.
It is a very strange talk.
And I'm so sorry, Riley. I'm conscious of your time. If you need to hop off, don't let me keep you, but
I'm good for a little while, for a few more minutes. Yeah,
we're nearing the last of the last minutes of this talk.
These women must have made quite an impression on Luke, because he's the only gospel writer who mentions them by name in this way.
Almost like.
And interestingly, Luke was a traveling companion of Paul from about 50 CE in Troas. He picked up with Paul and started traveling with him, and he traveled with him for years. I wonder if they spoke together. I wonder if they spoke about these women. I wonder if they talked about how important it is to focus on the work of ministering and not.
Boy, this is really another really interesting thing to me, is that he's saying, I wonder this, I wonder that. And that's, you don't normally do that as a speaker. You're supposed to say we.
No, say we, yeah.
Or be like so impersonal about it. They're like, is it possible that they talked about that? Could it be? Or it is likely.
Yeah, very, very passive voice.
I do want to quickly go to Orient by the Sea. Do you think, Riley, that it's possible that they will actually pull the trigger on this? Or is this always just going to be a thing where they can keep kicking the can down the road?
It's a really, really interesting question. My gut tells me that no member of the governing body wants to pull that trigger of saying, okay, we're going to do the judgment message now. Because if they do that and they are wrong, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that. They will literally, the organization's not doing well at the moment in terms of growth, but if they did that and then had to backtrack it, they would literally hemorrhage.
Yeah. I think the thing that the only thing that I can think of with that is like they would have to adjust their understanding of what it is, because right now what they say in the publications is once the judgment message begins, nobody can join.
There's
no room left.
The door to the ark is closed.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like once the Great Tribulation starts, no people can join the religion, basically. Yeah. So they would have to change that. But if they changed that, they could just, how different is cart witnessing from standing on the side of a road with a placard saying the end is nigh? Really? I mean, it's not that different. I could see them doing that if they could add another milestone that you'd have to cross before Armageddon. But like, I think they like having this comfort zone of like, well, first we got to declare the Great Tribulation, and then we got to declare Armageddon.
Absolutely. And I think if they did suddenly start declaring the judgment message, that would undermine the extra 20 years that they bought themselves with the overlapping generation. Which wouldn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's really true. It doesn't really, they just don't really need to, in my opinion. And like the thing that, the reason why they couldn't do it tomorrow, say, well, I guess they could just release an article like, we believe a bunch of different crap now. Yeah, you got to read to catch up. But like right now it's so specific. Like I've made videos talking about it, and it takes so long just to go through the step-by-step process. They think, well, first this has to be declared, and like the whole world has to believe that there's peace and security, because they have to really believe that it really happened, and then the United Nations will declare that religion's being done away with, and then there's going to be a period of time where religions are like slowly dwindling out, and over time witnesses will be the left one. Like it's so specific.
Very specific.
Yeah, and like they still proclaim that. So they would have to walk back a lot, but also they always play the long game with this doctrinal stuff. So I can definitely see them scattering some seeds, seeing how things play to the audience. I mean, like, well, is this a thing we can mess around with? Why were there so many demon possessions back in the day and now not so much? They just were able to like create Harry Potter, and now they don't need to like possess anyone.
Or maybe they've just changed their tactics, and now they use
now it's like make movies.
They've gone digital.
We make demonic video games. We don't need to possess people anymore. No, but that's true. Every old school JW has a demon story. Definitely. That it was such more of a thing when I was a kid. And there was like a very conscious stance to like, we don't talk about that stuff on stage anymore because we don't want to give too much prominence to the demons. I remember that being the reasoning. Like, we don't want to give the impression that the demons are more powerful than Jehovah. Very weird. I think they also didn't want people to talk about it because it's blatantly crazy. Like, it just sounds more crazy. You know what I mean? Like, not to discount people who have had supernatural experiences, but like the kind of things that witnesses talk about, it'd be like, the dressers started flying around the room and the windows all shatter. Like, it was always crazy stuff flying around the room stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have any demon stories you remember?
Oh yeah, loads. Absolutely loads.
Really? It all kind of runs together for me.
Yeah. The one I remember the most, I've heard it several times from many different people, is there were these two sisters that went on a ministry. They went and knocked on this particular house. The householder was actually a serial killer, and he was actually he hadn't been caught yet, but when he was finally caught and the police were interrogating him and they asked him why didn't he attack this sister that was at his house, he said, "Oh, because there were these two strong men standing next to her." So the implication was that these two men standing next to her were angels.
Angels. Wow. That's a good story.
That when I was a kid, that story was almost as common or popular as the Smurf story.
Yeah, see, I heard like a variation of that at some point in my life, but that's like, that's pretty good. That's a good story. I would tell that story. I like the things that we would hear were all like really scary stuff. Like, we were working in, because so many people would work construction. And so they'd be working in people's houses and be like, we started doing work on this person's house and just stuff would always go wrong. We couldn't figure out why. And so I started just talking about Jehovah. And all of a sudden, things would get a little bit better. It was always stuff like that, but it would definitely be objects. Like, we found the demon possessed object, which is so strange. Like, if you're a demon, like, what I love is being in a shelf. That's
Yeah.
this is my favorite drawer. I'm gonna be here. That's gonna be my spot.
Yeah. Were you warned against buying things from like thrift stores or charity
So
shops?
that's really interesting. No, because for us, like the cultural thing for us was like, I guess we would hear that in the sense that like there was a concept that objects could be demonized and get rid of something if you don't know where it came from. But also we would go to yard sales out in service because people wanted to shop, and it was like an excuse to be like, we can witness, and also they might have some good deals on stuff. So people were pretty pro yard sale and thrift shop.
Right.
But we had instances where if we saw like a movie that my parents thought was demonic, like, and we had happened to get like the Happy Meal toys for it, they'd be like, nope, we got to throw those out. And even I had experiences where I'm like, I bought this video game and then some weird stuff. Like I was scared one night or just had weird vibes. And so I would like throw the video game out. I was definitely demon scared as a witness. That's still like violence and stuff never scare me. But to this day, that like demon scary movies actively unsettle me and freak me out. Yeah.
Oh, there's a comment from someone who's heard the same story that I just spoke about.
Yeah, I saw that. Somebody had also heard that story. These just become like folk tales.
And that was in
Zachary's
Puerto
heard it.
Rico. Yeah.
Fiery Soul Rockers heard it. That's so funny. These two strong men standing next to me. When you first said that, I thought it's because the sisters were so strong in the church that he thought they were men. I don't know. I'm like, that's kind of a weird story. No, that makes sense. Wow, that's my in-laws threw away plants that someone who disagreed biblically with them had. Literally said they were probably demonized.
My goodness, that's so ridiculous.
My cousins, like my aunt and uncle, were much more conscious of that stuff. And like one of my cousins would always have like CDs of hers thrown out. If she would like throw a hormonal temper tantrum, her dad would think that she was demonized and like throw out her Britney Spears CD.